In this learning task, we're going to look at divisibility. There are tests for divisibility. What I want you to do is to just generate any 6-digit number that you can think of. And then you're going to show whether or not it's divisible for the numbers from 2 to 12 inclusive using the divisibility test, confirming each of your results with a calculator. Now, there is a basic level where you'll just test for 2, 3, 5 and 10. The intermediate level would do those numbers plus 4, 6 and 9, and of course the highest, most thorough level, you do all the tests for 2 to 12. The best way to see this is by showing you an example. I'll also give you a printed copy of the tests that you can look at while you're doing this task. The number I chose to do is 523,908. Now I'm going to do the two easy tests first. And the test to be divisible by 5 is that the last digit is 0 or 5. So my number is not divisible by 5. It ends in an 8. It's also not divisible by 10, because to be divisible by 10 it has to end in a 0, and my number ends in an 8. Another easy test is to see if our number is divisible by 2. A number is divisible by 2 if the last digit is even, ends in a 0, 2, 4, 6 or 8. So my number is divisible by 2, and the reason is my number ends in a 8. So that takes care of that one. What about 3? This time I have to sum the digits. If this number is divisible by 3, so is the number. Well, so let's see how this works. My number has a 5, plus a 2, plus a 3, plus a 9, plus a 0, plus an 8. 8 and 2 is 10, and 9 is 19, 22 equals 27. Now I can do this again if I can't tell whether 27 is in the 3 times table. It is in the 3 times table, just to show you how I could do that again if I wasn't sure. 2 plus 7 equals 9, and that is in the 3 times table. So my number is also divisible by 3. And I've shown why with this working out. So that's taken care of. Let's look at the divisibility by 4 now. If the last 2 digits form a multiple of 4, the number is divisible by 4. Well, here's my last 2 digits. 0, 8. Is that divisible by 4? Yes, it is. So my number is also divisible by 4. Okay. So there's some easy tests to start off with. Okay, let's check the test for 6. If my number is both divisible by 2, in fact it is because it ends in an even number, and 3, then it's also divisible by 6. Now I just showed before that it was divisible by 2 and 3. So my number is divisible by 6. Because it passes the test for 2 and 3. So 6 is covered. There is another test for 8. I like this one. It looks at the last 3 digits of my number. And if my hundreds digit is even, then I check only the last 2 digits. That if they are a multiple of 8, then it is divisible by 8. If, on the other hand, like my number, the hundreds digit is odd, I've got to check if the last 2 digits is a multiple of 4, but not 8. And if that's true, then my number is divisible by 8. Now my last 2 digits are 0, 8. Now, it is divisible by 4, but also 8. So my number is not divisible by 8, because it's got to be, when the hundreds digit is odd, this last two digits have to be divisible by 4 but not 8. So that excludes my number. Just going to use my calculator to check that. So put in my number divided by 8 equals. And you can see it's not divisible by 8 because I have a 0.5, a remainder is going to be left over. I'm going to skip to 12 and check out that rule because it uses two of the rules I've already done. If a number is both divisible by 3 and 4, then it's also divisible by 12. So my number is divisible by 12 because it passed the test for 3 and for 4. Okay, so let's check that out on our calculator. So if I get rid of this, clear it, and divide by 12, you can see I get a whole number answer. So my number is divisible by 12. Okay, let's test for divisibility by 7. We subtract twice the last digit from the number made from the rest. If that's divisible by 7, so is the number. And this can be repeated. So our last digit of this number is 8. And the rest of our number is 52390. So I've got to subtract 2 times 8, which is 16. Now I can use my calculator here. And my calculator gives me, okay, so I can repeat this process. So I can take the rest of the number and take away 2 times the last digit, which is 8. Don't need a calculator for this. This is going to give me 5229. And I can repeat this again. So I've got 522 minus 2 times my last digit, which is 18. I can use a calculator, but I don't need one. 522 minus 18 gives us 504. And I can repeat this process again. So 504, I'm going to take the first part of it and take away 2 times 4. And that's going to give me an answer of 50 minus 8. 50 minus 8 is 42. Now 42 is divisible by 7. Okay, so therefore, so is my number. I'm going to check that on a calculator. So there's my number. I'm going to divide it by 7. And yes, it gives me a whole number answer with no remainders. So my number was, in fact, divisible by 7. Okay, nearly there. Now let's test for 9. This time we add up the digits. If the sum is divisible by 9, so is the number. So if I add these digits, we're going to get 5 plus 2 plus 3 plus 9 plus 0 plus 8. I have 10, 19, 19, 27. Now 27 is one of the multiples of 9. So yep, my number is divisible by 9. Remember, you could add those two together and you could see that yourself. Okay, for my last test, I want to see if 11 goes into my number exactly. Now I have to put a minus sign between the tens digit and the units digit. And then the rest of them alternate. So that has to be a plus. I have a 9, and a minus, a 3, a plus, a 2, a minus, and a 5. And I work out this result. Now 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 minus 9 is negative 3. Negative 3 plus 0 is negative 3. And negative 3 take away 8 is negative 11. Now, negative 11 is divisible by 11 because 11 goes in. We don't care whether it's a positive or negative. We just want to see if 11 goes in. And it is. So my number is divisible by 11. We can check that on our calculator. So clear that. 523,908 divided by 11 equals, yeah, it gives me a whole number with no remainder, so that confirms that my number is divisible by 11. Okay, so that's an example of the task. You're going to choose a number not the same as my number and different from everyone else, and test out the divisibility laws, test and show them. There's 3 different levels, as you saw. You do the best you can. And I didn't show each one with a calculator, but I want you to confirm each of your answers with a calculator.